This one mistake is why student loans never go away. Are you making it too? If that sentence made your stomach drop, you're not alone. Millions of Americans are watching their loan balances grow while making every single payment on time. And most of them have no idea why. I spent 3 years convinced I was bad at math. Turns out I was just good at being lied to. So were you. And the system counts on us never figuring out how it actually works. Here's what happened. I graduated with $42,000 in student loans. Standard story. I got a job, started making payments, did everything right.
Look
2
at these
years later,
gears
I
inside.
logged into my
They're starting to
account and
turn.
saw something that
Wow,
didn't
so
make sense.
intricate.
My balance was $44,000. I'd been paying for 24 months. The number went the wrong direction. I called them. They explained it to me using words like capitalization and amortization schedule and accrued interest. I nodded. I pretended to understand. I hung up
Whoa,
feeling
look at
stupid.
that. It's
That
going
feeling
up.
was
Yes.
the point. So let me explain this the way no loan servicer ever will. Imagine you borrow $5 from your friend. Your friend says,
This is
pay me
quite
back
complex.
$6 total,
I see what you
$1 a
mean,
year
but I
for
have
6
an
years.
idea. Let's
Sounds
hear
fair. You agree. But here's the trick. Every year, your friend charges you interest on the full $5 you still owe, not on what's left after you pay. So year one, you pay your dollar, but the interest they charged that year was 75 cents. Your payment didn't even cover the interest. Your debt grew, even though you paid.
I get it.
That's not a glitch. That's the design, and it's called negative amortization, which is a phrase that sounds made up specifically so you won't Google it. Most people don't. They just keep paying and hoping the balance eventually goes down. It does, eventually, after years of going up first. Here's the part that makes it worse. Student loans don't charge interest once a year, like in my example. They charge it daily. Every single day you owe money, a little bit of interest gets added to your balance. It's called daily simple interest, which is an incredible name for something that is neither simple nor in your favor. The average federal student loan interest rate right now is around 5 to 6%. Doesn't sound that bad, but that percentage gets calculated every day and stacked on to your total. Then the next day's interest is calculated on that new higher number. Let's use real numbers. Say you have $30,000 in loans at 6% interest. Every single day you're being charged about $5 in interest. $5 times 30 days is $150 a month just in interest. If your monthly payment is $200, only $50 of it touches the actual loan. The rest vanishes into interest. Your $30,000 loan just became a $45,000 loan by the time you're done. You didn't borrow $45, but you'll pay $45. And here's where it gets truly ugly. A lot of people can't afford to pay while they're still in school, or right after they graduate, or during forbearance or deferment. The loan companies know this. They're very understanding. They say, take your time, we'll pause your payments. What they don't pause is the interest. It keeps stacking every single day. And when you finally start paying again, all that stacked up interest gets capitalized. Capitalized is a polite word for we're adding all the interest you couldn't pay into your original loan balance, and now you owe interest on the interest. It's interesting. Compounding, which is supposed to be the thing that makes you rich when you invest, except here it's making someone else rich while you drown. Let me show you how fast this gets out of control. You borrow $30,000. You can't pay for 2 years. That's about $3,600 in interest. Now your loan is $33,600. They capitalize it. Now you're paying interest on $33,600, not $30,000. Over the life of a 10-year repayment, that little 2-year pause just cost you an extra $4,000. You paid for a pause. They charged you for permission to be broke. The average American with student loans takes 20 years to pay them off. 20 years. The standard repayment plan is 10. So what's happening in that extra decade? People can't afford the payments, so they go on income-driven repayment plans. Sounds helpful, and it is if your goal is not to be homeless. But income-driven plans lower your monthly payment to something based on what you eat best, so your balance grows while you pay for years. There are people who have paid $30,000 toward their loans and still owe more than they borrowed. That's not irresponsibility, that's math. That's the system working exactly as designed. And the design is simple. Keep you paying as long as possible. The longer you pay, the more interest they collect. Your $40,000 education debt becomes a $70,000 revenue stream for them. Now here's the part that should make you angry. This doesn't happen with most other kinds of debt. Your car loan, fixed payment, fixed timeline, balance goes down every month. Your mortgage, same thing, structured so you see progress. Student loans are the only major form of consumer debt in America where the majority of borrowers will pay more in interest than they borrowed in principal, and it's legally protected. The government backs these loans, meaning there's zero risk for lenders. You can't discharge student debt in bankruptcy. It follows you forever, so they have no incentive to make it easy to pay off. Let's talk about who benefits. The federal government issues most student loans now, but private companies service them. Companies like Navient, Nelnet, Mohila. They get paid to manage your loans, and the longer your loan exists, the more they get paid. There's a financial incentive to keep you in debt longer, not to help you pay it off faster. Every time you miss a payment, every time you defer, every time you switch repayment plans, they collect fees. Your confusion is profitable. Your struggle is revenue. And it's not just the servicers. The universities are in on it too. Tuition has increased 1,200% since 1980. 1,200%. Inflation in that same period, 270%. Housing, food, cars, everything else got more expensive, but nothing exploded like college costs. Why? Because colleges knew students could borrow basically unlimited money backed by the federal government. So they raised prices, built luxury dorms, hired more administrators, expanded endowments, and told 18-year-olds it's an investment in your future. Here's the really sick part. That 18-year-old can't legally buy a beer, can't rent a car in most states, but they can sign up for $60,000 in non-dischargeable debt with interest rates higher than most credit cards and almost no financial literacy education. They're told everyone does this. They're told it's normal. And by the time they figure out what they signed, it's too late. The ink is dry, the debt is real, and the interest is already compounding. There's this argument you hear a lot. You borrow it, you pay it back. And on the surface, fine, that sounds fair. But fairness implies informed consent. It implies both parties had equal power and equal information. An 18-year-old pressured by parents, schools, and society to go to college or be a failure is not entering a fair agreement with a trillion-dollar lending system designed by lobbyists and lawyers. That's not a deal. That's a trap with a signing bonus. And the scale of this is insane. There are 43 million Americans with student debt. The total is over $1.7 trillion. That's more than credit card debt, more than auto loans. It's second only to mortgages. Except with a mortgage, you get a house. With student loans, you get a degree that may or may not get you a job, that may or may not pay enough to cover the debt you took to get it. And if it doesn't, the interest keeps rolling. So why doesn't this change? Because the people with the power to change it either already paid off their loans 30 years ago when college cost the price of a used car, or they benefit from the system as it is. And because we've been convinced this is a personal failure and not a structural scam. You took the loan. You should have known better. You should have worked harder. You should have chosen a better major. The blame gets placed on millions of individuals instead of the system that educated none of them on how interest actually works before handing them the bill. So pause for a moment and ask yourself honestly, have you been paying while assuming the balance would eventually take care of itself? If that realization just hit you, let me know in the comments.